Hello, everyone. I hope everybody is doing great. So, I wanted to make this video in regards to magic. Why do we do magic? You know, and this is something that is not going to resonate with a lot of people. But if it resonates with you, I believe it's going to make a big difference when it comes to your manifestations. Okay. So, this is not about a book, it's not about doing rituals, it's more about something that really like clicks within yourself, something that kind of like, if you understand this, it will make a difference, okay? So I've always been very, very witchy, ever since I remember, I like to be like I feel the phases of the moon, and I've always been very intuitive, and I've been the kind of person that kind of like feels I'm a deep, deep feeler, okay? So that makes me very intuitive by default. And I started with something changed recently, and I'm saying recently, like maybe in the last year and a half, where I started reading books about magic and manifestation. What I've realized is that when it comes to magic and manifestation, a lot of people feel that magic is about gaining something, it's about having something, more money, abundance, love, a very specific person, is about like making things appear, if like that's the way that it feels, right? I guess can that can happen too. That is also something that is going to happen by default. But I think that when it comes to magic, the real purpose of magic is inner transformation. Whenever we think about manifestation and magic. Magic is alchemy. It's about transforming something, transforming coal into gold, lead into a diamond, It has to go through a process. And that process is not easy. It's very difficult. For the coal to turn into gold, it has to be purified through the heat, through the fire. So it is a process, and I'm not saying that we have to suffer to manifest. I'm not saying that, but I believe that the point is not to add when it comes to manifestation. Is more about it's about purifying ourselves, and that will it is about transforming who we are. I come from a belief in Buddhism. I've been studying Buddhism for a long, long time. Initially, I was raised Catholic, but then I started practicing Buddhism. And in Buddhism, there is a sutra where there is pretty much is an analogy, and it talks about a person that is crossing the rivers of ignorance. So the person is inside a raft, and the raft is the tool in order to cross the river, right? But once the person reaches the destination, the raft is no longer needed. And usually, what the person does is that it burns the raft because it doesn't need it anymore. So I believe, like coming from those beliefs that I have, I believe that when it comes to magic, it's pretty much the same thing. We do rituals, we do practices, but this is mostly to give us a discipline. There are things that our psyche cannot accept or understand because they're, like if we know something by theory, we're skipping a lot of things. And pretty much our psyche, our subconscious mind needs repetition, it needs rituals, it needs things to be applied, sigils, symbols, in order to understand what is going on. It's like training a muscle, right? So once we overcome, or once we have practiced that for so long, I believe, and I'm still in the process of this magic, manifestation process, but it's something that really, like, I have noticed based on what I have practiced. And it is that whenever we do a ritual, for instance, usually it's like we need to have an altar. And in that, at the altar, we have our candles, we have whatever it is needed, a wand or whatever it's needed whenever we are at the altar. And this is something that just like it clicked with me when I understood it this way. Anybody who has practiced martial arts or karate, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, whatever, whenever they come to the dojo and they enter the mat, they have to bow in front of the mat before they step in. And I believe this is a way that is very subconscious to the person, where they are leaving their ego behind. And when they bow, they are saying, I'm entering with humility and respect for what is about to happen here. And once the person does it for so long, it almost becomes like that ritual becomes a part of themselves. It's like that humility and that discipline is being at first is something that is done consciously, but at some point is something that just happens because it's been so repetitive, is something that happens unconsciously. So I believe it's the same thing about rituals. It's about creating it's like flexing a muscle. It's about discipline. At some point, the purpose, I believe, of magic is to become so in alignment with your own will. And I'm not saying the will as the ego, but the essence of who you are, what you are here to do, is to be so much in alignment with that, that is almost like your breath becomes a spell and your presence is a prayer. Your life is the altar and the love is the offering. And I'm saying the love is the offering because usually whenever there is an offering, it's something that is meant to be sacred. And there is nothing more sacred than love. So I'm not talking about sacrifices, about like goats or blood, like nothing of that Hollywood stuff. But really, what we are sacrificing is the illusion. We are sacrificing like the habits that we have, the things that have kept us going in loops, in circles, right? Many times when we do magic is about being in alignment, having a lot of clarity about what it is that we want. We have to, like I was saying about the rituals, we have to do something physically. Then we have to involve the emotion and then also the mind because we have to visualize. So it's about being in alignment. It's about being so in tuned and so clear about what we want that everything has to be in alignment. And if it isn't, it won't manifest. Sometimes it takes a lot of practice, and sometimes we just have to, like, before something would manifest, we have to let go of any beliefs that we have or any illusions that we may have. If we're asking for money, for instance, we have to like really look within ourselves and see like where within me do I have a belief of scarcity, that I don't have enough. I believe that magic makes you look a lot within yourself. All of those fragmented places within yourself where you don't have clarity, where you are being lazy, where, and I'm saying you, this is me too, like where are we lacking discipline? There are many things that, in order for us to be in alignment, in order to receive whatever it is that we want, we really have to be very clear, and not only here in our minds, but also be in alignment with our emotions, and then do the physical act of a ritual. And I believe that eventually we will become all of that. We will become the spell, the altar, the magic. You become magic because you are so in alignment with who you are that everything just comes by default. There's really no trying. There is no more sacrificing. There are no more rituals. And I'm saying all of this because anytime I do practice it, I notice those things. It's asking me to be clear, but it's also asking my emotions to be in alignment with my vision. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes I have to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm asking for abundance, but man, I don't feel abundant. Like I don't feel this way. I feel like I'm lacking here. I feel like I don't have enough, and that's one another thing. Like when it comes to like manifestation, it's almost like a- it's an irony. Like you're asking for money, but it's like you have to have this belief that you have the money. And it's kind of like, if I had to believe that I have money, why would I be asking for money? It's almost like an oxymoron, So it's just like little things like that I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me. I get it. I have to be in alignment with having abundance, prosperity, whatever it is. But it's so difficult to have that emotion when you don't, like when you don't feel like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you have to look a lot within yourself, and you have to look a lot, and you have to strip away a lot of things. Just like what I was saying about the coal and the gold. It has to be purified. Lead has to go under pressure to become a diamond. Yes, we have to look at ourselves and feel the pressure of, what am I believing here? What am I feeling here? Because what I want and what I'm feeling are not in alignment. So, more than getting something externally, more than that, I believe magic is about inner alchemy. And once we become aware of all of those roadblocks that we have, all of those obstacles, all of those patterns, all of those beliefs that are keeping us inside a cage or are keeping us in shackles. Once we let go of those things, because we have to become aware of those things, then I believe manifestation becomes easier. Because there are some things that I can easily manifest. And there are some things that I'm still struggling with. But when I look within myself, it's because I have beliefs that are holding me back. But at least I've become aware of those things. So it's a matter of practicing. And like I said, it's like flexing that muscle, working that muscle until it becomes stronger. And every ritual helps. The more you practice, the easier it gets. So for all of those people who feel like they are having a hard time practicing magic, it's just like going to the gym. You go the first week, the second week, the third week, you don't see results. But if you keep trying, if you keep going, eventually you will see what is keeping you from your manifestation. And many people have said this, nothing changes on the outside until you change who you are on the inside. And it is important to understand that, because we are the ones that are in between who we are at this moment and who we want to become in the future. So ask yourself this question, and like really ask yourself with honesty and a clear mind. If magic is real, if it is real, right? Who would I be in my magical self? Who would Jules be as magical Jules? Picture that person. Who is that person? And what is standing between that magical self and yourself? And all of those things that are standing right there in between the two of you are the things that we need to overcome. Okay. So that is what I had for this video. I am still working my magic. I'm becoming better. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I've always been very witchy, very intuitive, and I kind of know things. But when it comes to like rituals and like really practicing something, is something that is fairly new to me. Like what my Tantra teacher always said is fun to be human. It's every moment is a lesson, and I'm learning as I'm going, and I am acknowledging many things about myself that I was unaware of until I needed to have clarity about what I wanted. And like I said, many times what I want is not in alignment with how I feel. So it's been a struggle, but like I said about my tantra teacher, it's fun to be human. Is that every struggle is a lesson. It's not about giving up, it's about continuing. Keep going. I think it gets easier, compared to where I was a year ago to now. It's become easier, but in order for me to be where I'm at, and I'm not even close to like being like a trained magician. I'm not even close. I'm still like crawling, maybe, baby steps. But it will ask you to sacrifice a lot of things. And like I said, it's not about sacrificing an animal or like bringing a chicken or blood or anything like that. The sacrifice is all of those things that you believe are true, but they're not. They're just an illusion. And once you strip those things away, you become purified. Just like the snake that has to shed the skin in order to grow. It's a process. So I hope this helps. I know I said too much, and like if something is there that clicks, great. And if not, then that's also fine. I just believe that if this resonates with you, it would probably help you manifest what you want a lot easier. Okay. So that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Okay. Take care. Namaste.